Did anyone else notice that when I noticed that there was a reverb, I looked around as if I might be able to see it?
See it, yeah. What could possibly... Oh, it's just the 4 bare walls in my apartment.
It reminded me of Ghostbusters. Shh. Do you smell that? Hey, everyone. Welcome to Fake Philosophers. Glad you could be with us this week. We have a treat for you guys this week. Super Bowl Sunday week. We thought we'd dive headfirst into that whole sporty... Super Bowl football-y jockey shit and discuss zombie survival preparedness.
It's topical.
I mean, Super Bowl and zombie survival go hand in hand.
It's a pretty simple transition, in my opinion. It kind of seemed kind of obvious, but
yeah.
But before we get into all that, as you know, as always, joining me today is Mike. Hi, Mike.
Hello.
South California, Southern California, whatever you guys say out there.
Bottom California.
Bottom Cal.
We're bottoms here.
I like that. That's pretty good. So does that make San Francisco the top?
Yes.
Yep.
That does not make sense.
We didn't say we weren't power bottoms.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes more sense. Okay. And Danny. Hi, Danny.
Hi. I'm here to talk about zombie preparedness.
Now, to be fair, he didn't know that when he came on, but he's down for it.
Danny's actually back by popular demand. Someone requested him to be back on.
Yeah, popular demand.
Mike is feeling a little bit under the weather this week, unfortunately. Mike, do you have the vid?
I don't believe I have the vid. This has actually been annoying because I've been feeling off since like Sunday, and I'm like, I think I'm getting sick. Then Monday, I'm like, I'm all right. Then Monday night, I'm like, I think I'm getting sick. And then on like Tuesday morning, I'm like, I'm all right. And then Tuesday night, I'm like, I think I'm getting sick. And then yesterday, I was like, I'm getting sick. And then today, I was like, I'm fucking sick.
It's perfect timing.
I just kind of love that Mike took on the alt-right position during COVID of, I don't believe I have COVID.
Yeah.
I'm just dying slowly from something else.
Like I said off before we started too, Mitch, like it sucks. It's like I'm one of those people that like do not get sick. And then when I get sick, it's just the worst.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like, it's similar. Like I can count on 2 hands, obviously, how many times I've been sick in the last 10 years. And yeah, but same. It's like when I'm sick, it doesn't fuck around. Danny, would you say you get sick pretty often, or are you in like, are you like girls where you're just like constantly kind of sick and some days is worse than others?
No. I am rarely sick. And like Mike, I'm like, if I'm sick, like I'm going to the hospital because it's going to be that bad.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah. It's like I am.
Well, you don't get sick. You're just losing your kidney or something.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh
pretty much. Like,
or your fucking appendix.
The only reason where
appendix,
I feel like so sick is like I'm losing an organ. Like that is it. Like
literally.
Otherwise, if I have a sniffle or a little bit of a cough, like I don't consider that sick. Like I'm just like I can power through that.
And that's what I was talking to someone earlier today. I think part of it too is like, I think if someone looked at like my body, I probably have been sick many times over the last few years, but it's one of those things where like it's not a big deal and I just push through it.
Yeah.
But when it becomes like where I need to go home from work, that's what like when it comes to that, it's really bad when it happens. So that's why I'm looking forward to tomorrow.
Yeah.
Are you taking tomorrow off?
No.
Oh.
It might be a short day. Because it seems
so. For context, I mean, those of you listening to us, those of you, like I'm sure most of you who sit and wait for our episode to drop, it's going to be released on Sunday. So when you guys see this episode drop, you're like, "Fuck the Super Bowl! I'm going fake philosopher up in this bitch."
It's a priority.
I want to listen to these 3 white dudes talk about being sick.
Yeah, I
yeah.
I hear that like the Monday after the Super Bowl is like the most requested day off of the year. That
I'll tell you right now.
And April 21st, which
I wonder
you can
why.
figure that.
It's actually a national holiday in Australia.
Is it really the day after the Super Bowl?
Yeah. Well, it's the day after Sunday for them, so it's the Monday after the Super Bowl is a holiday for them because they can get to watch the Super Bowl.
Oh, interesting. Okay, yeah.
Very, very, very big in Australia and in England, apparently.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting.
Where were we going with this? Oh, yeah,
Anyway,
Mike. So Mike's might take a short day tomorrow. Yeah.
Did you guys hear for the opening ceremonies of the Super Bowl, what they're gonna, usually they have like a flyover.
Yeah.
Did you guys hear what's gonna fly over the stadium this year?
No, I haven't heard anything.
Chinese balloon.
Stupid.
That was in the back of my head. I'm like, is he gonna say balloon? I wonder if he's gonna say balloon. But yeah. Yeah, that's a topic, isn't it? Isn't it topical? Topical. The top of the balloon. Thank you.
So I'm of the mind where it's just like, why is this such a big deal?
Hey, Danny, what do you think about all this?
I honestly don't see it as a huge deal. Like, as soon as it was clocked in our airspace, like it was jammed, so it wasn't sending anything it had.
Was it
And then,
jammed?
Yeah, it was jammed.
Oh, I didn't hear
they
that.
mitigated all the data and information it could send once it hit our airspace. So as soon as they picked it up on radar.
I'm from a more position of like the balls on these motherfuckers, and it's like, and then I take a wider.
I agree.
And then I take a step back, and I'm like, well, yeah, why wouldn't they? What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do?
Well, it's just like you have to be stupid to be like, oh, we would never do that. Like,
no, we absolutely
we've been
would.
doing that since 1947.
when the Wright brothers took off, what do you think it was commercial? do you think it was passengers? No, and I know this because I just went to the museum like a month or two ago. It's like when the Wright brothers finally took off and they were staying in the air. Do you think the first people that came to the Wright brothers were passengers or fucking weather people or scientists? Fuck that. It was the military. They were like, holy shit, really? Let's see what they. Yeah, I mean, come on, it's obvious. Anyway, where was I going with this? I don't remember. I was just really excited.
Yeah, so I just don't see it as a huge, like, hullabaloo that people are blowing it up to be. So
see,
and I mean it was shot down not that far from you.
It
right?
was.
It was off the coast.
Yeah, it was off the coast of South Carolina when it went down. My in-laws actually saw it. Well, they said they saw it because it flew right over Charlotte, North Carolina. And we were on the phone with them. They're like, yeah, we just saw the balloon go over. I'm like, wait, really? Or did they were like, oh, it's over us. We can't see it, but we know it's over us kind of thing. Yeah. And yeah, it's an interesting point of view, Danny, to be like, it's not that big of a deal. Because truly it isn't. Like, obviously, I mean, we all have satellites. We all have flyovers or whatever. What's this one balloon really going to do? For me, it's more like... I mean, like the pullout of Afghanistan or Iraq or whatever it was. See, I already forgot. In of itself, it wasn't that big of a deal because it's like, yeah, we knew that was going to happen. Like, right? Like, it happens and we just knew it was going to happen. It's more of like the broader scope of like how it looks from the outside. I mean, look at the other countries looking at China and America. It's like, yeah, China flew this over. America knew it. America let it fly clear across the whole country, and then they shot it down once they decided it was safe. And
well, I mean, a lot of people are taking the position that shows weakness. I think that shows strength. It's like, yeah, we let it happen. We don't fucking care. We let it happen.
Oh, okay, you know
shut
what?
That thing down over Alaska.
That's interesting because I didn't think about it that point of view, but that's actually kind of interesting. It's like, yeah, go look. What? Yeah, look at our farms. Go fuck yourself. And now we're gonna shoot it down.
That's what when someone said that it was spotted over Montana and there was this big like uproar about it. I was like, let them fucking look at Montana. Like what?
Well, there's a nuclear silo base.
All right, look at Google Maps.
Yeah, I mean, you can find it on Google Maps. Like
that's what I mean. Like, and all the political bullshit of it aside, I just rolled my eyes.
Impossible.
I was like, China's supposed to be this adversary, and they're sending a balloon? That was my thought.
See, and I'm not of the mind, too. It's
high.
like, do you think... I'm like, you have to be naive to believe that they're looking at, military bases or anything of any, like, strategic kind of stuff. I was of the mind who is like, no, they're looking at our farmlands. They're looking at how we actually produce food and shit because, they keep producing people and they're running out of room and food, and so they need to figure out how to do it. So are they looking into more like that kind of shit, the agrarian kind of structure? Maybe.
It's kind of interesting take, yeah.
But I do like Danny's point of view. It's like, you know what? Yeah, look, what do you want? All right, cool. You got what you want? Cool. Now I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah. I mean, and that's like I think it's just like we're looking at it and like at the, our government's looking at it and it's like, huh, that's kind of ballsy.
All right, weird.
All right, let's see where this goes. And we shot it down. China had a reaction about it, and we were like, well, you're more than welcome to come and get it.
Come get it. Yeah. I mean, we've already recovered it. Come buy it.
Yeah, come get it. Come get it from us.
No, rather, hey, we'll give it to you and you knock off some of our debt. Does that sound good? Or
yeah. Oh, honestly, Mitch, they're gonna use this as a some kind of trade.
100%. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, in of itself doesn't really matter much, but on the broader scope, I still love. Mike had sent a meme in the group chat of. If so, those of you listening have seen this meme. It's pretty awesome. It's China's first picture taking over Missouri, and it's just this overweight guy that is chucking a beer bottle at the camera. It's just perfect. It's just perfect. So Mike, props. I mean, I've seen it shared from like a half dozen other pages, but I think Mike sent it to me first, and it's pretty. So
so that
I'm
means
gonna
it's
credit.
mine. Yeah,
it's yours. Yeah, it's yours.
That's fair.
The other one I've seen is a picture of the weather balloon that says "weather baroon." Have you seen that shit?
No, but
it's pretty good.
That's racist.
Yeah, I've seen another one that says Netflix's movie about the China spy balloon, and the balloon is black.
I like that one. That one's good.
That's good. That's good. I like that.
Anyway.
All right, let's if we don't have any other, bizarre current events to talk about.
Let me think.
Nothing else important happened this week.
State of the Union, Grammys. No, not really. Nothing really bizarre else happened, but
we could talk about Madonna cuz wow.
Hey, turns out people age and it's news to everybody.
She's trying not to though. Like really hard, and she's whatever look she's going for. It's not working.
I think it's a thing we've done every episode, and I'll go ahead and continue the trend of quoting South Park in one way or another. There was an episode in South Park where Kenny is actually diagnosed with a terminal disease, and Kenny is actually dying. So the Make-A-Wish people visit Kenny in the hospital, and they say, what would you like your wish to be? And he says, I don't want to die. And they're like, oh, well, hey, I bet you'd like to meet Madonna, huh? And Kenny says, no, Madonna's an old anorexic whore who overstayed her welcome years ago, and now she suddenly speaks with an English accent and thinks she can play guitar and she can go fuck herself. Has that description not come to fruition? Michael, your thoughts?
I mean, there are multiple schools of thought.
I mean, granted, that description was 20 years ago, but...
False. Black bear.
Yeah, I don't care. I mean... if you remember, we go back.
Sick Mike might be my favorite Mike.
When was the big? It was the big controversial thing where she performed with Christina Aguilera and Britney Spears and kissed them both on stage. Mm-hmm. What? I forgot what year that was. That was like 2001, 2002. I forgot where. But anyway,
I think it was 20. I think it was 2002.
All right. like Madonna looked old as fuck then. Granted, she looked good for her age, but she still looked old as fuck. So what was that? 20 years ago, she already looked old. She's clearly had work done, and this is what happens when you have work done and you get old. You look like a lizard. And so, I mean, like the jokes and the memes have been funny, but at the end of the day, I'm just kind of like, it's one of those things. This is sick, Mike, because normally I would make fun of it too, but at the end of the day, I'm like, what do you expect?
See, Mike, I'm not to speak for you, but you kind of get mad at the easy targets. It's like, yeah, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
It's like you're making fun of Madonna. Hack. It's been done.
Yeah. Like I feel like there's been over the years so many jokes about her aging anyway. So when there's like the new one, it's like, all right.
You don't impress me with your disses on Madonna, man. I love it.
But
all right, yeah. But yeah, beyond that, no. I don't know. No, it was 2 weeks ago. Whatever. Moving on. Unless we want to talk more about Madonna. Anybody?
I'm good.
Okay, cool. No, a couple weeks ago, Mike and I, we were going to touch on one of the main points of Zombieland, and we ended up talking about like an hour about Zombieland, and it was pretty fun. And I had said in that episode, like, World War Z, you're right, sorry. Zombieland, not as good as World War Z. Well, actually, that's
I
a
did
debate.
like Zombieland.
For another,
that is a debate.
For another episode.
Different approaches. Good movies. But I had said in that episode, like, you know what, we should have an episode just talking about zombie survival, like, you know, like preparation and shit like that, because we'll get into it more. And I'm like, you know what, let's not do it now. I want to wait till Danny gets on, because it was one of the first things Danny and I ever really connected on, besides Jim Carrey and Greek mythology theater. It was zombie preparedness. So, you know, I'm like, okay, I'm so glad Danny's here, because now we could talk about it.
Mm-hmm. So I've been listening to our past episodes, looking for the what we call the lost topics, the topics that we say, oh, we'll have a whole episode based on that.
Yeah.
And today I did hit the episode where you and Danny talk about your love for Jim Carrey and how you guys both like Ace Ventura #2 still.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where I'm going with this, but it made me mad.
Well, I mean, you're in just like you. I think you woke up and chose anger today, Mike. So, you know, I'm taking what you say with a grain of salt. I'm going to call
fair.
bullshit on most of it.
So that's it's a true story, Mitch.
I mean, take 2 shots of NyQuil and go fuck yourself, and then come back when you start feeling it.
I haven't had whiskey in a while, but I might have some tonight.
What's your big deal with because I like Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls. That doesn't mean I don't have gripes, because I do have gripes with that movie.
As I said in the episode that I listened today, and I'll say it again, as a child, Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls was my shit. I loved it. Mm-hmm. And then to reiterate what I said in that episode, when you're watching it as a kid, all the other characters are super annoyed by Ace Ventura. But you're a kid, so you're like, Ace Ventura is the shit. And then now watching as an adult, I'm in agreement with the other adults in the room. This guy's annoying as fuck.
Yes.
See,
he's solving the case. He's solving the case, and that's great. But he's super annoying, and I wouldn't want.
He's doing the same antics, and you see their point. Yeah, it's the old, you know, the adage of like, you watch the movies from your childhood and they don't stand, right? You go back and rewatch the Goonies, and you're like, ew. You know, it doesn't stand the test of time. Maybe Ace Ventura is one of those. Granted, I have not seen When Nature Calls in at least 7 years, maybe. So it's been a while since I've seen it. So I might have to go back and rewatch it. Granted, I'm going to get pretty drunk before I do, because I want to be in the right frame of mind.
I think if Jim Carrey pushed for Ace Ventura 3 World War Z, I would 100% see it, and I think it'd be great.
World War V.
Yeah, Ventura.
Yes,
yep.
World War V.
I like it.
Alrighty
then, indeed. So we won't talk about that, because we already had a whole episode devoted to it.
Obviously, because Mike talked about it.
What is your zombie plan?
My zombie plan. Here we go. So let's take it a step back, a little more pretext. Pretext, is that the word? Pretext.
Sure.
Okay. Me and one of my best friends, Ryan, we saw Dawn of the Dead remake 2004 in theaters, and that night I slept maybe 2 hours. Partially from just freaked out by the zombies apocalypse, but also just because he and I were up all night talking about how awesome it would be if the zombies actually invaded, and we talked about what we would do. And obviously, being junior hires, freshmen in high school, whatever we're, all we did was like, yeah, we're gonna go steal our parents' guns because there's somehow our parents just disappeared conveniently, and we were gonna run off to the mall, which would be fully stocked and open with no other people there, and that's where we'd hold up and whatever. So since then, our plans have adjusted. I would say now, if I woke up tomorrow and the zombies have shown up, I would take my wife into our fully gassed car. I would take my go bag or my camping bag, which is really just all my camping gear and like 4 MREs. And we'd run off into the woods and last about 6 hours, and then we'd probably die.
So you're optimistic.
From a cocaine bear.
Cocaine bear! I cannot wait to see that. I cannot wait. Side note.
Is that your actual plan, or is that what you think just will happen?
It's a mix of both of what I think would happen. But no, my plan was always, and especially when I was in California, living in Rancho Cucamonga, which is, the foothills, Inland Empire, my plan was always to get what I needed to survive. Because my plan, largely inspired by Bill Burr, is that, because everyone thinks like, oh, you need guns, you need to learn how to fight, and you need to do all this shit. But I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I really just need to learn how to out-survive everybody else, so I was just going to learn all the survival skills I could, run off into the mountains, and just disappear. Max Brooks, the author of the Zombie Survival Guide, said on the back cover, he said, no place is safe, just safer. So if you could just get to a place that's safer than another one, so because you're never going to find a ultimate holdout where you'll be forever safe. So yeah, but that's just broad strokes so far, I'd say.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm of that mind too. Like, no place is 100% safe. It's just safer than the last place. Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, the thing about zombies is that they get you with numbers. Like, they're not fast, they're not smart, but the sheer number, is what gets you. So obviously.
And the thing, too, if, like, one sees you, then a dozen are going to get you in, like, a half hour, and then hundreds in the next couple hours. So, yeah. You got to be invisible.
Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, obviously you want to move somewhere, like, from high density to low density. And, yeah.
Yeah, that's why my plan was, like, just to grab it and head off into the hills. Like, in where I lived, you could get into the foothills in a half mile, maybe a mile, and then boom, you're in, park forest, national forest land, and you could just get invisible real quick. So,
yeah,
it's true.
Now, you mentioned having a go bag, camping gear, a couple MREs. I have, a couple MREs. Thanks, Mike, by the way. Mike gave me a box, like a literal box of MREs. So they're just in my garage, chilling.
I'm jealous. I love it.
For the end of days. So yeah, the plan for me still is to head to mountain towns, or mountain town adjacent, because one, sparsely populated, isolated, and I was the way I was raised. I was raised by an outdoorsman, so I know how to survive in the wilderness.
Hell yeah.
I know how to forage. I know how to hunt. I know how to improvise. And by improvise, I mean I can...
you're resourceful. Like, what do you need?
Yes.
You can find the things around you to make it work.
I can find it, yes.
So I'll ask this question. This is a fun question. I'll ask it of both of you. What your primary weapon would be. And this is two categories. One, what you have immediately right now. Like, let's say shit goes down right now. What do you have at your disposal that you would use as your primary weapon? The follow-up question is, what would your primary weapon be if you had free range of anything? If you had your absolute, the world at your fingertips, what would you use as your primary weapon? So I'll go first. My primary weapon, I have a Remington 870 that I own, and it's pretty sweet. I have about 3 dozen rounds, I think. It's not much, but I think that would get me through most of the shit. So I would use that probably as my primary. My Glock 19 is my secondary, and yeah. But if I had my free range of absolutely everything, and this goes back to a debate Danny and I have had since high school, I would have an MP5 standard 9mm rifle. 9mm is the key factor in this. It's a small round, but it does the job. That's why I would use it, and I think it's the best. So yeah, we can get into that in a minute, but I'd like to know what you guys would think. What would your weapon be right now at your disposal? And second, if you had anything, absolutely anything.
Go ahead, Mike.
Right now,
just show us the room that you're in.
I was gonna say over this shoulder. If you look at that dagger, that thing's actually pretty sharp.
I think I saw that in Star Trek.
That's actually not from any sci-fi. That was just some dagger I bought. But it's actually quite a sharp blade. And even if it's not sharp, I have a knife sharpener in my kitchen. So that, and then it also, can you see it? For those watching, this fucking thing's in the way. It has kind of like a blade at the bottom.
Oh yeah, nice.
So that would probably be my primary. I have a kind of like Danny, you've seen it, that scorpion piece I have that goes on my hand, kind of like a gauntlet. Uh-huh. That I have a spear, a pike for distance. So actually, to go back real quick, my strategy, because I got skipped, if this happened now, I think from where I live right now, has it's pretty decent strategy just to hold tight where I'm at, because it's kind of on the hill, so just naturally zombies aren't going to try to walk uphill, and two, it's kind of because the gates around it are kind of well fortified, so I think I'd be pretty good. Especially, we're eventually going to go electric, like get the sunboards and everything to go solar. So assuming we went solar, we'd be pretty good until we run out of shit. And then when we ran out of shit, either I try to do the Walking Dead shit and go down into town and try to find stuff, or we get what we can and go up that road into the mountains.
I feel like, not to judge, but I feel like your neighbors would be the type to just run, cut and run. The minute shit happened, they'd try to evacuate and run off into the desert and probably die.
I mean, I could probably go neighbor by neighbor and make that call from the people I've met. You're probably right about a few of them. But going back to it, so those are all my immediate weapons right there.
Yeah.
If I had free range, I'd probably take, is it the, an M14 semi-automatic rifle?
Oh, yeah.
I'd probably take one of those because it's good close range and long range. And then probably some sort of shotgun. But even with those guns, my primaries would still be hand-to-hand.
Melee weapons is your shit.
Well, and just pragmatically, I would have the shotgun on me for emergencies and the rifle for emergencies. True. But the dagger's not running out of ammo.
See,
it might dull, but you could sharpen it, even with a rock. So,
well, I mean, it's not even even if it's not that sharp, it's still effective because you're not looking for sharp. You're not looking to cut shit. You're looking to puncture. You're looking to get into that skull there, and yeah. So even if it does start to dull, it's going to be a long time before a spear point is unable to get into a human head. Yeah. So
especially an undead human head.
Yeah, which we know is weaker, as we've seen from movies.
Scientifically, that makes sense. Because the skin is rotting, so there's a layer that is easy to get through. Two, they're not probably getting the vitamin D they need, so their bones are probably brittle and weak.
Yeah, not a lot of calcium in the undead.
Yeah. So yeah, I think with the spear and the pike, I'd probably go to my side gate once a day and just clear them out if they're all hoarding over there. Just quick little stabs to the gate, and then just have to worry about running out of food.
Well, why I asked about your neighbor, why I mentioned your neighbors, cutting and run, because once you run out of shit, I feel like you could just go to your neighbor's house and raid raid that house and then move on to the next house, and
I've thought about that. See, even I live half an hour from my bar, and in the past when I lived closer to the bar, it's like, oh, I'd go to the bar. We're stocked up on everything. But I know most of that neighborhood would probably go to the bar and break in and steal shit. Shaun of the Dead.
They all saw Shaun of the Dead, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even Shaun of the Dead aside, you got to think about it. We are a restaurant, so we have coolers filled with shit. And not to mention a lot of booze.
A lot of booze. Yep.
So even though I'm in my hubris, I'm like, oh, I would go to the bar, of course, and I'd have all this shit. To think that other people in that neighborhood are not hitting that place first, I'm half hour away. Assuming there's no cars broken down on the road. Block.
All right, so Danny, weapon choices. What you thinking? What do you have? What do you have that you would use, and what could you use if you could use anything?
So I have. It's not a Benelli, but it's a semi-auto shotgun.
No way, really?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know
it's
that.
It's a semi-auto with a collapsible stock. It's mine. I own it. it's not here because my brother has it. Because he wanted to take it skeet shooting or something. I don't know. He just wanted to use it for something. I don't know what.
He was shooting doves
that were just landing in his backyard. I also have a SIG 2022 9mm.
Yeah.
With hollow points. I have, I think, 3 boxes of hollow points. Which, if you're going to use something for killing a brain, that's what you want to use.
It's a hollow point, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then I have a couple swords and some knives here that I would use for hand-to-hand melee.
Mm-hmm.
Frankie has a rapier and a main gauche dagger, that she could use. But if I had my pick, I would take probably like an AR-15. I'm not looking for anything full auto. If we're strictly talking about fighting zombies and that's it, I want an AR-15. I don't need anything full auto. I just need something where I can time my shots and get off enough rounds as I need when I need them. I don't need.
That's why I wanted the M14. Rate. Yeah, quick and accurate, but semi-auto.
Quick and accurate. And the science behind this is the .223 caliber round has just enough kinetic energy to enter the skull, but not enough to exit the skull. So what it does is it does pretty much that.
Excuse me. Sorry. Go ahead.
It does that. Since it doesn't have enough kinetic energy to exit the skull, it just bounces around in the skull, just destroying the brain.
Yeah, the which you can make the same argument for any .22 caliber rifle as well. That was like the main thing about .22 rifles is that they enough to maybe penetrate the front of the skull, but then it just kind of bounces around in there, and that's assuming you're a good enough shot that you can make it. And with a .22, you're probably going to make it, but when you get up into the higher calibers with M1 Garand or M1 Carbine or whatever, then it's a little bit harder, but. Yeah, and then the AR, the way they're designed, how they absorb most of the recoil in itself, so you could just pull and just keep pulling and keep pulling. Then especially with the .223, you know what, Danny, I'm not come around. I don't agree with you just yet, but I do see your point a lot more about the AR style weapon and how good it is, because
that, and they're versatile. I mean, especially if you have the collapsible stock, they're good for up close, medium, long range.
My biggest thing too is and versatile, because you're not only fighting zombies, you're also fighting guys that might want to, or girls that want to raid your shit and take all your money and food and all that. The AR-15 would be perfect for that. You could put down other humans as well. My thing about the MP5 and why it was the best was because it was a 9mm weapon, and because 9mm is so much more, plentiful. You could find a 9mm 10-1 more than you'll find a 223. In my opinion, that's just what I've come across. So that's why I was like, and you know, you don't need that big of a round. The 9mm will absolutely penetrate a skull. Even if you slightly miss, it'll still fuck up a brain. So,
well, and they've even said even like 22 rimfire.
Yeah, exactly.
It's pretty much the same. And like you can get a box like that big of 1,000 rounds for nothing.
Yeah.
Like you can go to Bass Pro or Turner's and find that just sitting on a shelf.
So I had said my primary was my shotgun. I do have two. I have two 22s. I have a 22 single fire. It's a Marlin, but it's a single fire. You load it one at a time, and you have to literally pull the hammer back and fire this rifle. It's an old thing, but it shoots true every time. Oof. But I also do have a 22 Marlin, semi-auto Marlin rimfire. You know, and that thing's a little beast. Tell you what. But yeah, but no, I'm like, yeah, fuck that. Give me the shotgun for some reason.
It's that spread.
It's a good spread.
Yeah,
give me my
spread.
5-round magazine buckshot Remington 870 with a 24-inch barrel. That seems way better than the 22. I laugh at myself. Okay, so Danny, how often would you say you go to the range with your weapons?
I haven't been to the range in a while, and I need to go back because it's a perishable skill. And
Girl, same. I haven't been in years, and yeah.
I need to go. I want to go. I really want to take Frankie, because I want her to feel safe around my gun.
Yeah,
and I want her to feel like if she needs to use it, she can.
Yeah. If the zombies are knocking out the door, or God forbid, if Danny's a zombie, is she going to be able to?
It's not me anymore. It's not me anymore.
So, Mike, you talk the big talk, Mr. Melee Weapon over there. You know, do you think you're physically ready to wield that melee shit?
My concern about the zombie apocalypse. Yes.
Long pause.
If the zombies are coming, I'm fairly confident, not because I'm super fit, because I'm not, but with my assortment of melee weapons, I think I can hold them off. Like with the spear, I could keep them at a distance, especially if I'm in the house. So I'm fairly confident in that. What I would be more concerned about is surviving the elements outside of that.
Okay.
Because you got to think, like, one, I take medication for my high blood pressure.
Ooh, okay, yeah.
Two, as I've said in a previous episode, like, we're getting old. I have digestive problems. I think Chappelle had a joke that back in the day, before all this medicine, you had diarrhea, you're pretty much fucking dead. So, just being realistic, that's something to worry about if all this shit happens to go down. So, as far as actual melee, in defending my home, I'm 100% confident. If it came to where like we had to go out in the wilderness, not as confident, still pretty confident, but not as confident.
Okay, that's a good, honest answer. I actually really like that.
Yeah. So like I said, our home, I think, would be pretty well defended as far as the way it's built and the location of it. But, you know, going out into the wilderness, that's a whole different story.
I remember about a year ago, my brother asked, you know, hey, if a zombie's outside, what do you do? Like right now, what do you do? Zombie apocalypse happens. You see zombie outside. Zombie apocalypse is happening. What do you do? And I remember thinking, okay, you know what I would do? I would literally like hoard all my shit, take stock of what I had, and probably try like move up into the attic of my house or apartment or whatever it is, and try to be invisible for as long as I possibly could until I needed to figure something out. If I ran out of food and had to go from there. So it's a kind of a good point to start. Is look, you're hiding out in your attic. No one knows you're there. The shit is going down. Then what? You know, kind of thing.
Well, I think that's kind of a common theme too. Is I think the initial outbreak, I'm good, but it is 2, 3, 4 weeks later, 5 weeks later, to where like you're out of supplies, you're out of, if you have a gun, you're out of ammo.
See, not to bring it back to COVID, but COVID kind of like made me rethink my whole plan. Like, holy shit, we ran out of stuff because all the stores are closed. I'm out of toilet paper. What do I do? You know?
And you hear some of these assholes who are like, I'll just grow my own food. And as someone, and Danny, Frankie could attest to this, as someone who tries to grow his own food, the shit is not easy, especially in an urban environment. And it takes a long time.
Yeah, you're not going to eat next week if you start planting food.
Yeah.
Well, and a big problem with that, especially where you're at, Mike, is the soil. Like, and if we're like going to have if you're going to set up a garden using the natural soil, which is what you're going to have to do because nobody's going to be making specific potting soil.
Yeah.
And gardening soil.
Yeah, I can't run to Home Depot.
The soil, the soil in your area is just horrible. It's not even soil.
Sure.
It's sand and rock. And the only thing that you can grow there is weeds.
You can grow like weed and avocados, and you could live a long time off of that.
And
or
let's
at least
not
it'll
forget,
feel like a long
The
time.
bigger problem is we won't have water.
We won't have water. Well, you motherfuckers won't have water. I'll have water. But
won't.
No,
have water.
Yeah. That's some shit. Yeah. No, that's a great point. It's like, yeah, I mean, no, we'll call it the zombie apocalypse perfect scenario. We're somehow staying alive. Everyone else is conveniently gone, so we don't have any emotional obligations. And all our real challenge is just avoiding the horde. So we're trying to find a way to not survive, but also to thrive, to plant crops and be able to live. But in the short run, in the first year, you're going to be on a scavenging game. You're going to be going from house to house looking for any kind of food you can find. So, you're going to have to not only be good at defending yourself, but also knowing what to look for and where to look for it.
Yeah. I think people overlook that when they talk their big zombie game. They forget about all that shit that your basic infrastructure, if it's collapsed, is not going to be there for you.
What food can you gather and keep when there is no power, when there is no water, when there is no gas? Like what can you, like, how long do you think you could actually preserve food without the electricity?
So I just thought of this right now.
Submarinos.
What was that?
Los Submarinos.
That's Spanish for Subway. Eat fresh. They've sponsored this episode.
Spanish.
Thank you,
This
Subway.
episode brought to you by
That's Spanish for Twinkie.
Oh shit.
that. So I think I just thought of this right now. So there would be, let's say the zombie apocalypse officially breaks out on Sunday. I would guess, and this is just me speculating without any proof or evidence or fact, that
It was probably China.
Well, no, I was going to say power, water, gas, all that shit would probably still be on for a week.
I can tell you wholeheartedly.
Depends on how quick it spreads and what the response is.
So, Mitch, you're in that industry. What would you say?
I can tell you, as someone who works in the emergency side of that industry, is if it goes wrong, we fill in. It'll last about 6 hours.
Oh, okay. Well, then
without people there, like working on it, less than 6 hours. Like, you're going to be out of shit, like gone. Do you realize how much programming, machinery, planning, hyper alertiveness goes into just getting rid of your sewage? And not even talking about the shit you flush, just the water running down your sink. There's so much thought into just getting rid of that. Like, imagine where your water source comes from, where your electricity. No, 6 hours is a conservative guess.
I always assumed it was automated, so maybe that's my ignorance. So
It's
that
not.
aside,
There's no way to automate it 100%.
If I had like 2 days though.
Yeah. Okay. Let's say 2 days. 2 days.
2 days. I have a dehydrator. So
okay.
And I have a bunch of meat in my freezer. So if I had just enough time, I could probably just cook that meat, even if it's overcooked, whatever, and then dehydrate it. And I think when you dehydrate meat, it's good for like a couple weeks.
Yeah, in bushcraft, they talk about smoking meats, and same kind of thing. It's like they deprive it of, and it lasts a lot longer for sure, yeah.
Yes. I would say smoking meats will also add, a flavor to your meat, whereas just dehydrating it doesn't really add much.
This is survival,
but,
Danny.
You salt, you pepper it to preserve it. Salt is a preservative. So if you salt and
See, I'm gonna interrupt you. This goes back to what I just said. I'm fucked. I have high blood pressure. So if I'm gonna be preserving meat and I'm fucking throwing salt all over this shit,
oh no,
I'm dead. I am protecting my house for the first week, and then I am fucking gone.
Well,
if the zombies don't get me, a stroke is.
Well, would you really want to survive? That's the question.
That's the thing. That is the question I've always. It's like, would I want to survive in that post-apocalyptic world? I don't think I would. Because the quality of life would be shit.
Because if you asked us in high school, we didn't give a fuck. We're like, yeah, survive. Oh my God. Like, run off into the woods and live off of nothing. Now that we're like older and lived cush lives a little bit, we're like, oh my God, no, I'm fine. Just kill me.
Yeah. Like, what are we surviving for? Because like, it's not going to get better. It's not going to get better.
I'd still want to just so I can say I outlived X percentage of the human race.
And it's almost that ego that, like, in the back of your head, it's like, when we rebuild, they'll remember me.
It's 100% ego. It's 100% ego. That's just me and my shitty character flaw, but whatever.
But all seriousness, during this conversation, like, I'm not surviving more than a month.
Same.
Because
if
no,
I
like
survive
I just
more than a month.
During this conversation, unless I pull a huge Brad Pitt in World War Z and happen to find the exact medication I need for my blood pressure, that'll last me for years. Not to mention, we have to fucking preserve meat and vegetables with salt. I'm fucking gone. I'm either going to get bitten, I'm going to off myself, or I'm having a stroke within 3 months.
Oh, fuck you. You're going to wander into an abandoned Whole Foods. You're going to find a source of vegan beans, canned beans, and you're going to live off of that for like 5 years.
I'd be so lucky.
That brings us to another point. All right. There are two ways to approach an initial outbreak. All right. You get the news. Hey, there's a zombie apocalypse. Go. What do you do? Do you fortify your location?
That would be Rachel Maddow's like literal words. Hey, there's a zombie apocalypse. Go. Like
like do you stay where you're at, shelter in place, fortify, or do you go out and get everything you need and hope that in the next 6 hours, because I'm assuming that's how long it would take to get everything you need.
6 hours. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You don't die in that 6 hours.
So
from people doing the exact same thing you are, or from zombies.
Oh, okay. So here's that's good. That goes into another question. So preparedness, like just general emergency preparedness, and let's see if we've learned anything from COVID. You get the news. You turn on Rachel Maddow, and she says, "Holy shit! Holy shit! Holy shit! Zombies."
Well, hold on, real quick. I'm gonna interject. So Rachel Maddow aside, because I don't think that she's reliable. We can all agree, whoever the source is, because I know
Anderson Cooper. It's Anderson
like,
Cooper.
It's probably Cooper. But like during COVID, a lot of people are like, I don't trust that person. I don't trust this person. So let's just say this person is trustworthy, and when they say a zombie apocalypse is happening, we know for 100% certainty in this scenario, 100% this is happening. Before you go on, I want to establish 100% it's a go.
It's a go.
It's a go. Go on.
Yes.
So okay, I'll adjust this so that Mike agrees with it. Mitch McConnell comes up and he says, "There's no reason to believe that zombies are happening at all." Boom. There you go.
You got
a great impression as well.
Chin wiggle in there.
There's no reason to believe.
There's no reason to believe.
Okay, we can agree on this.
I said Rachel Maddow. I said Rachel Maddow so that you libtards would like just accept it. But fine, we need to get even deeper.
Right. Mitch, you weren't masculine enough to be Rachel Maddow.
Woo! I like Anderson. I like Anderson Cooper as a source. I mean, as as different as as much as I disagree with Anderson Cooper, if he came up and said something, I'd be like, shit. Well, okay, then fuck the news, Mike. You go on Reddit or whatever, and you go on like 4chan, and you find out that the zombie apocalypse is actually legit. Joe Rogan gets on a podcast. He says, "Oh fuck, dude! Like technically, yeah, and zombies are happening."
Perfect.
Boom.
Ever seen a zombie on DMT?
True introspective look. How prepared do you think you are? Do you have food in your place enough to last more than a month? Do you have weaponry ready? Do you have the physical... Whoop. Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Did we lose Mike?
Yeah, it's the zombie apocalypse.
We lost Mike.
Yep.
I'm still recording my audio. I don't give a shit.
So am I. Let's just keep talking, bro. Let's just keep talking.
You know what? Fuck Mike. We don't need him. We just won't have video for this picture. Oh, shit. Okay.
All right, hold on real quick. We could cancel this out.
Right.
We're all still recording, right?
Yeah, we're still recording.
Cool. So my internet crashed, so I don't know what you guys saw on your side.
I just saw Danny's pretty face.
All right, the last thing I heard was something about Rachel Maddow.
I said...
Or no, you said something about 4chan, that you're gonna go on 4chan. We're gonna go on 4chan. And they're gonna say it.
I said, Mike, and you would go on Reddit or 4chan, and you, like, in your own way, in your Joe Rogan research, decided that, okay, this is legit. The zombies are invading. Boom. So how prepared are you guys? And I'll do myself too. In the place where you live, your abode, your establishment, how much food do you have? How much weaponry do you have? How well can you fortify it? Because, Mike, you said something about defending your place against some zombies. How well? I mean, last I looked, you have a lot of fucking windows. Do you have plywood lying around that you might board those up, or
So I would
get into it. What do you think?
I would go back to what you kind of said about staying quiet. So I do have a lot of windows in my place, but a lot of those windows face the backyard or places where you can't just easily get access to. So the windows that do face the street, I do have shades for them to where we wouldn't be seen.
Shades.
Now, as far as you had mentioned, like that first 6 hours, what do? I would probably be that guy where I tell Erica, I'm like, hey, you stay here. And I would probably tell her to like stay in the bedroom to where like nobody could see you.
Get under the bed and pray.
Or not even that. Or in the kitchen, take the shades down and start cooking the meat we have before the power goes out.
Ooh, yeah. Okay, nice. Yeah.
And then I would probably be that guy because if you know my spot, there's a Target 30 seconds down the road. And there's also kind of that little shopping center nearby.
A Target as in the store, the department store Target, not an easy Target. Go ahead.
And there's like that little shopping center right down the street. There's like a Thai restaurant, a teriyaki place, a liquor store, other things. I'd probably like do a drive-by and scope it out. And if no one's there, maybe pop in there. If not, I'm going to Target. And I'm grabbing anything I could think of. I'm going to be the only one there. I get it. But but I'd probably run through Target as best I could, grab as much shit as I could, and then just come right back up.
Okay, yeah.
Now, is that going to go as smoothly as I hope? Probably not.
So, yeah, we'll get into hypotheticals later. Like, what if Target has nothing that you're looking for? It has no food, no canned food, because that's all cleaned out. No toilet paper. That's all cleaned out. We've established, COVID pretty much established that toilet paper is going to be the first thing to go. So,
stupid.
Which we'll figure out because, we talk the big talk of like, we don't need toilet paper. We could just run our ass under the shower head and figure that out. But what if there's no water? What do we do then?
Go to the ocean. Find a creek.
I have a pool.
Mike has a pool, which, after a month or two, might not be looking so good.
We're not drinking it. That's to rinse my ass.
After a week, it's going to be green and full of Mike's shit.
I'm not shitting in the pool. I'm wiping my ass with the water.
Oh, I know. Yeah. You're going to have diarrhea like 2 or 3 times a day, and you're going to wipe your ass in that pool. It's going to be a shitty-ass pool, bro.
Hey, better than nothing.
It's better. It's true. So, Danny, what do you think? How like right now? Boom! It happens right now. What time is it there? 8 p.m.
8 o'clock. Yeah.
Yeah.
You find out at 8 p.m. your time, zombies are happening. How prepared do you think you are? What do you need to do?
I need to board up the windows that face the front of my house. I don't have boards, but there are plenty of just random 2x4s hanging around. And the good thing is I live in a gated community, so, as long as I don't have to interact with anybody that's in the community, I don't have to worry about anybody coming in either.
Yeah. It's gated at the road, sure.
Mm-hmm. Gated at the road, and there's like no walk-up entry. Like you have to have a key to get walk-up too.
Okay, I could find a way in.
You probably could.
But a zombie couldn't.
Probably easily find, but a zombie could not.
Okay, see, in my mind, I'm picturing the first 6 hours, we're probably not going to see a zombie in the first 6 hours. We're going to see other psycho people trying to loot and find their way to survive as well, which, granted, is just us. We're going to run into other, us, but whatever.
I think it depends on which kind of infection we're talking about.
Agreed. Is it fungal, viral?
Well, no, I mean more so, is it like Walking Dead, slow-walking zombies? Is it World War Z, sprinters?
Is it Shaun of the Dead zombies, or is it Dawn of the Dead 04 zombies?
Or is it Last of Us, cordyceps zombies?
I think we could rule out Last of Us because that was just awesome and perfect, and we're never going to find a fantasy world that awesome. So
dude, it's not a fantasy. Like they explained it in the first episode, like how close we are to it.
Okay, well, I was thinking of the video game. I didn't watch the show yet, but all right.
I haven't either. Spoilers.
Like they're doing so. Pretty much the zombification they're talking about is.
I just said spoilers.
Cordyceps. You knew about the zombie fungus, right? The one that takes over ants.
Yes.
That's
that
cordyceps.
shit's fucking crazy. Yeah.
And they say it can't exist in the human body because the human body runs too hot. But with global warming, it isn't outlandish to say that cordyceps would evolve to exist in a hotter climate.
See, I would interject here and say, look, we can describe a scenario where the zombie outbreak would be realistic, and what would that look like? Versus, hey, what if Shaun of the Dead happened? What would we do? Which I would say was like the beginning of this conversation. Is like, hey, if Shaun of the Dead happened, what would we do?
Well, because you got to think of the different zombies. So if something like this is something about World War Z we don't have to dive into. Like, but if it's like a viral thing, there's an origin, and technically you could contain it. Like if something happened, like a lab in Florida, it broke out
Because Florida.
That's why I picked it. Like even if they moved,
they would not have money for a lab. Okay, come on.
Fair.
Florida, the petri dish of America.
Wherever it is, even with World War Z fast zombies, the military could isolate that within like 6 hours, depending on how they're spreading, depending on the city. They could isolate the city. But if it's something like Shaun of the Dead, The Walking Dead, where it's like more spiritually based, where they're undead, excuse me, that where it's simultaneously worldwide. Different issue.
Okay, so where would 28 days later fall under that? Would that be more World War Z?
Well, that was viral, right? That was a virus.
That's viral. Yeah, that's World War Z. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because that, like, of all the movies, 28 Days Later seemed the most realistic to me. Like, that could happen.
And in that case, they did isolate it in England, so that is realistic.
Right. It was isolated. Yeah, it didn't spread until the sequel.
Because it was in a tiny-ass little island. But if that shit happened in America, that shit would fly to North, Central, South America, and maybe somewhere else. But that's a lot more ground to cover than just England.
Well, let's say hypothetically, we're going off a little bit off topic. Let's say 28 days later, that one, and that virus originated in L.A.
Right. Okay.
Think about, so these things are on foot, even within 28 days or whatever. So you're talking about L.A., probably the IE, might go down to Orange County, maybe Santa Barbara, maybe up to Santa Clarita, but there is enough space around it at some point to where these things are not going to run that far on foot.
I don't know. I mean, you take the 15 south, you get down to you get down to Corona, you get down to Rialto. Well, Rialto's more eastbound, but like it could make its way all the way down to San Diego pretty effortlessly.
But my point though is that those things, you get bitten by it, whatever, you churn in like 30 seconds and then you're on foot. So eventually you look up to the north, there's the Mojave Desert. Even if you're going up the coast, there is miles and miles of nothing. And then maybe they get to San Diego on foot, but there's enough of nothing around that area eventually that you can contain it because they're on foot. You're not driving with that.
That's another thing. You're assuming that these things would travel. The only response to stimuli they have is food,
which would be other targets within their locale.
They would eat everything in their immediate vicinity, and then potentially go dormant.
And that's what I mean about the LA example, is that there's enough space eventually around LA that they're not going to just start running towards nothing.
Yeah, they're not going to run miles to get food.
Yes, that's my point.
Yeah, from Santa Clarita to San Jose, it's a bit of a stretch. It's
so if they start in Santa Clarita and everyone's alerted to it, that dies in Santa Clarita.
Yeah, it's true. That's true. Okay, well, I mean, shit, that's true. And if the military or are that responsive that they can cut it off, because what are they going to run east to Vegas or fucking to Lake Tahoe?
Well, that's the thing. They're not going
Flagstaff
to run without. They're not going to run without stimuli like that.
Right.
That is, so they because every memory that they had is gone. They don't know people exist outside of what they can see, hear, and smell.
I mean, okay, but I mean that's true. So it'd be rare to picture the zombie apocalypse unless it's that the Romero scenario, in that if you die, you come back as an undead.
Oh no, yeah. If it's undead, it's worldwide. Like you're fine.
Yeah, it's worldwide. But if it's 28 days later, or World War Z or whatever, how could it spread worldwide? Especially with a turn, like if you're infected and turn that quickly, how could that happen? Yeah,
well, that's why I do think I'd agree with you, Mitch, that Dawn of the Dead is kind of scary, because they, I believe, are undead and they sprint.
Yes.
So that's like fucking.
That's
gnarly.
Worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Dawn of the Dead took place in Wisconsin. I forget the name of the town exactly, but that was like the thing, is that happened in, Midwest, Middle America, Wisconsin. So it could go in all directions, and, until it hits like Kansas, where it's just all corn for acres and acres, then
corn.
Then you're fine.
That's a fucking corn.
Yeah. So, yeah, Dawn of the Dead was good, man. How do we get started on this? The plausibility of an outbreak? This is the way every zombie debate I've ever gotten into has always resorted to this, is the plausibility of outbreak and what scenario it would be.
I think it's kind of interesting, because even World War Z, Mitch, me and you talked about it. We didn't get into actually like the pragmatic way of that, because it's supposed to be a viral disease in World War Z, but it kind of just happens instantaneously around the globe.
Yeah.
So they kind of skip over that. But I would say the scariest zombie, in my opinion, is the Dawn of the Dead zombie, because it's undead, so that's immediately worldwide, because it's just undead. And they are very fast, and I don't know about you two. I do know about you two. I don't think any of us are ready to run that long.
Nope. I am not ready. Nope. I would be fucked. I would be fucked.
Zombieland. Rule number 2 is cardio.
Yeah.
Rule number 1 was cardio.
Rule number 1's cardio? Okay.
Yeah.
It's an important rule.
I think.
Rule number 1, cardio.
I think I'm going to go back and rewatch it, because I'm pretty sure it's cardio.
The ideal zombie is a viral zombie that walks.
If I had to make a request.
That's the ideal zombie. Spreads slow and it walks.
So Dawn of the Dead, the remake Dawn of the Dead, 2004, it was undead if they were bitten, so it's viral as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think the undead ones, it automatic, like the bite is universal no matter what. I think
the bite is like what kills them, and then they come back as a zombie. Like it's
a toxin
or something.
Right, that was that was the Dawn of the Dead remake. Romero's philosophy was philosophy. Oh my God. His rules for his universe was if you die, you come back as a zombie. And if one bites you, it will make you die. And then you'll come back as a zombie.
Sure.
Yes.
So, sorry, the cats are knocking at my door. Anyway.
Still, Dawn of the Dead, those ones, yeah, those are the worst.
Yeah, the 04. That like, oh man, Dawn of the Dead 2004. The first zombie you see is the fact that this is like this 10-year-old girl that like shows up at the door of your bedroom and you're like, what the fuck? Like, it's so good. It's so good. Like, cause what? Would you shoot that little girl? Probably not, and you'd get bit and you'd turn into a zombie and that's the end of your story. But whatever.
Well, I mean, I go day to day without getting bit, so I'm pretty confident in my ability to not get bit.
So Mitch and I touched on this when we talked about World War Z, though. You got to think, when we watch those movies, that first zombie, we're like, of course, it's a zombie, don't fucking fuck with it. But if you're in that situation and you know that person, you're not going to immediately go, like, stab it in the head. You're going to be like, are you okay? Like, what's going on? Like, It really is, like, the likelihood of you getting bitten in the first 12 hours is very likely.
Very likely.
Especially because, okay, we've all been in the LA area. We've seen homeless people that are acting crazy. Crazier than we've seen in any zombie movie. Yeah. And
homeless people in LA will bet on that. Just because. They don't even
just
have to
because
be a zombie.
I've literally seen homeless people in LA acting crazier than any zombie I've seen in any zombie movie. So I have failed the test. Okay, I have personally failed the test of seeing people acting zombie-ish and being like, "Huh, shit, I'm gonna walk away from this."
Well, that's why when it's announced that it's happening, I just hope I'm at home.
Yeah, 100%.
So,
yeah, personally, I have about maybe a week's worth of food. I think of just like canned goods. That I think I could survive about a week of food, and then I'll be like, all right, I need to go scavenge, go look for some stuff.
Canned goods,
because
ramen.
Yeah, I mean, I have plenty of ramen, but yeah, I mean, what water am I gonna boil, man? I don't have water. I need to go find. Well, there is a river within walking distance of where I live, so I could probably find some water, but I need to boil it. I need to build a fire, which makes smoke, which draws attention.
And then I even thought what Danny said earlier, because I gave Danny a case of MREs, and I still have a case of MREs in my garage. And from what I've talked to about the guy who gave me those MREs, and even other people in the military, is that they'll let you survive, but it also gives you fucking hardcore diarrhea.
Shit.
So, again,
yeah,
you have food, but
you're going to need water. So here's another question, and here's the thing, too. You guys have no electricity. You guys have no gas. You have no running water, but you have standing water. Let's say you find a source of standing water, and you need to boil it. What do? You build a fire to boil the water, right? Do you guys know how long you have to boil water before you can drink it?
You boil it until it reaches 100 degrees Celsius.
Mike, do you know how long you need to boil water?
I forgot. Isn't it a few minutes or something?
Pretty much. You get it to a roiling boil for more than a minute. My rule of thumb is 5 minutes. You get it boiling for 5 minutes, then you're good. But you've built a fire that's producing smoke, and everyone sees the smoke from everywhere around. So what? Are you going to build a fire in your backyard? Let everyone know that you got good water for you, or what?
In this scenario, Mitch, are you assuming that there aren't any fires burning anywhere else?
I guess in this scenario, I'm trying to be as invisible as possible. So in a week from now, when I need shit, how do I get my provisions without being seen?
I actually don't believe, Danny, that I know in the typical zombie movie there's buildings on fire everywhere. I don't think that's actually a realistic thing.
Okay.
There might be one fire and a house catches on fire and there's no fire department to put it out, so that shit's gonna spread.
Well, yeah.
But, I mean, survivalists always talk about how you keep your food away from where you sleep, so, or your cooking fire is away from where you sleep so that animals don't come to where you're sleeping. That might be the way. You come down and away from where you're living, like a good quarter mile or so, boil water, and then carry that shit back to where your house is.
Just have some bottles ready. Transport that.
crazy.
I'm gonna ask you guys a question.
And we'll end on this. We're going a little long.
You know what? Good, because I've got a question for you. Go ahead.
We'll end on both of them.
Would you guys? So, assuming I survive and you survive, and this is more a question for Mike because you're just too far away, Mitch.
Sorry.
If I made my way to you, Mike, would you help me?
I would lock the door. No. Honestly, I think just knowing myself, yes, I would.
Okay.
Now, if we talk about...
I was clean. I wasn't... No bites, nothing. I wasn't a zombie. Definitely wasn't a zombie.
I'll be honest. If, like, a stranger came to my door, I don't want to be that person. Oh, I'm an empath. But, like, I do feel for other people. It would be very hard for me, but I would probably ignore the door. If someone was knocking on the door and they didn't see us, I'd probably ignore it. But if people I know showed up, yeah, I would probably let them in. Granted, as you said, I know you have skills in the wilderness that I don't. And I probably have skills that would be useful that you don't. So to me, this is a winning combination. And then we could probably just leave our women outside, and then we and you will survive.
No, we're gonna need somebody to cook, dude.
Talking about butt sex.
But no, I do think, and this is something like that they kind of touch on. If I'm trying to survive, if we don't take the suicide route, if I'm trying to survive,
That's legitimate. That's legitimate.
No, that's a route you can take. If I'm trying to survive, though, we're not. It's me and my lady are not going to make the species survive by ourselves. We need more people. So yeah, if Danny and his lady showed up to my door, it's like, yeah, get the fuck in here. What do you have? Let's pool resources. Let's do this thing. If more people that I knew and trusted showed up, it's like, yeah, let's do this and figure it out. Just because if we're trying to survive, you might as well try to make the species survive. So that's my
yeah. Thing. I would be the same if hypothetically I was still in California and I was in my apartment in Rancho. And Danny knocked at my front gate, which is like a drawbridge at this point because I've fortified it so well. And I'd be like, holy shit, Danny, yes, get your ass in here. It was like, one, I know him. Two, I know he has skills. And yeah, it's like, yeah, if I saw you, I'd be like, oh my God, yes, finally, like-minded individual. Our priorities will probably be pretty lined up. Let's, get in here. Oh, you brought Frankie. Cool. Okay, yeah, come on in, I guess.
We need meat.
And then, yeah, we'd take it from there. And
yeah, but if this dude across the street from me showed up to my house, I'm ignoring his ass.
Yeah, I would.
So that's my follow up. Where do you draw the line?
It would
of people you know. Where do you draw the line?
There are people I know. How do you say it? I would have to, in the back of my head, at least because there's no metric, but I'd have to at least feel very confident that you're not going to churn on me.
Well, I mean, people, right? So if you're like, it's that one guy I know from the bar. Oh, no, thank you. Versus, no. That one guy from the bar. Oh, shit, yeah. Okay, cool, come on in. Like, you just use your instant judgment kind of thing. So I don't know if they're... Gut. It's like, because there's some people I know very well from theater, from school, from work or whatever, that I would be like, fuck no. I know them very well, and I do not want them in my group. Versus those people that I know kind of well that are like, oh my God, yes, like get in here. We need your skills. We need your whatever.
Yeah, I think it'd be a mix because if it's someone who doesn't have a lot of skills, but I love them and trust them, I would still let them in, hoping they could learn because I trust them. But if it's like a dog shit human being who knows how to survive in the wild, I'm like, no, because you're gonna fucking kill me and eat my body.
Yep. So, yeah, no, it's a good question though. Like, what happens when you see people you know?
Mm-hmm. No, I think generally speaking, I would let people in. If I knew them, if it was like I said, some stranger on the block, I'm like, sorry, bro, we don't know.
do you think that because we've gotten older and we've become more selective in the people we waste our time with, that the more people we know now are more likely to get into that group versus who we were 10 years ago?
Maybe it would probably be less. As we
really?
get older,
Okay.
Yeah, as we get older, we tend to, kind of stick to our core, like our core group of friends, and then everybody else can,
Oh, okay. I mean, I guess that's kind of what I'm saying too. Is that the people we do know and the people we do spend our time with is more likely to get into the house, so to speak. And we've kind of let everyone else that we kind of know just go by the wayside because maybe we have this animal instinct to be like, this friend is not going to help me in a survivalist scenario, so I'm just going to let them go.
Like, what if it's like your most recent ex?
Shit.
Depends on the breakup.
Yeah.
Maybe. Like for mine, maybe.
On the breakup.
Probably not. But you know what? Maybe. You know what? Maybe.
Mine, definitely not.
Well, not yours.
Shit.
My most recent ex was like fucking 15, 16 years ago, so that doesn't even count. But if it was
take
like,
it easy, humble brag.
No,
brother.
that's not actually humble brag. I haven't dated a lot.
No,
but I was gonna say
my most recent ex, I would absolutely let my mom in for sure.
I would also let your mom in. No, but like
15, 16 years ago, I don't give a shit.
But hypothetically, if I like had dated a chick X amount of years ago, and like we had a good breakup and we're still friends and we still like trust each other, and then she came knocking at the door, I'd probably be like, yeah, come on in. Yeah. Now, if it's some chick who like is useless and spoiled, and I'm not going to say any names, Danny, but we discussed her this last weekend. If she's useless and toxic, it's no one I officially dated, Danny, but we had discussed someone this past weekend.
What the fuck is happening?
It was just an example of a toxic individual. Don't give me that fucking confused look. You know who I'm talking about.
Was that individual in the same vicinity as us?
No.
Okay, then I'm confused.
Oh my god, you guys need to stop drunk texting because Jesus Christ.
No, we were in person talking about. Anyway, it would depend on the girl and if they're useful or not, and how
it's the ex I'm thinking of, right?
She's not an official ex, but it was someone I was somewhat intimate with. Yes.
Okay.
I am fully erect.
Me too.
Like,
and I think that's a good place to call it right there.
No, I would say confidently my most recent ex, yeah, if she came knocking up, I'd be like, yeah, fucking cool. All right, come on in.
You really?
Mine, yeah, I think it'd be like, yeah, like she'd be useful enough, and we'd have like the same goals in mind, and be like, I don't think we'd want to kill each other. I don't think
you'd want to kill each other. I just don't know if you would actually find her useful. I feel like we'd like contribute the same, like, goal is to survive. I feel like if that be the main goal, we'd be good. Other exes of mine, absolutely not. But my most recent, for sure. And I would just have that talk with my wife. Like, look, I mean, I know you're fine, but it's whatever. But. Yeah, I think my actual most recent ex, like I said, was years ago. I don't think she would.
This took a turn.
I don't think she would. I don't think she would seek me out, mainly because I think her now husband doesn't like me either. Anyway, so it's not something I have to worry about. I think.
Well, we're not talking about seeking out. We're talking about the random knock on the door. Holy shit, let me in. Oh my god, it's you, kind of scenario. So.
That kind of scenario, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably still lock the door.
Being in North Carolina, I'm not worried about it.
She'd have to travel a long way.
It'd have to be a trek. So that'd be. I guess I'd contribute to it. Be like, holy shit, really? You made it? All right.
In that case, you're like, wow, you really put in the effort. So come
all right.
in. Yeah.
You know what? Hey, respect. 3,000 miles, however long it was, on foot, rock and roll. Come on in. But yeah,
in 2 weeks, Jesus
Christ. Man.
I was running.
All right, well, I think we've covered a lot of bases, and we've got a good start, and we'll continue this conversation, because I feel like this is one of many, surviving the zombie apocalypse with Danny. What would it be like to survive with Danny? What would it be like to survive with Mike? And if you're with me, you're probably going to die, and I'm going to eat you. It's just what's going to happen. So I want all listeners to think about which of us three would you like to survive with, or Eddie. Quite frankly, would you like to survive with Eddie? Because Eddie would fucking outlive. Eddie would outlive all three of us.
I feel like
100%.
Eddie would be the one who would survive, and he would make sure that you survive too. But what you have to put up with.
Do you remember that scene in This Is the End where Danny McBride is fucking Channing Tatum? Mm-hmm. Just that's Eddie.
I was gonna say Eddie would be the kind of zombie that rips the skin off his prey, eats the brain, and then eats the skin afterward.
Yep.
No, but in all seriousness, Eddie would outlive all three of us.
He would become a warlord,
100%. He 100% would out survive us. So I can't talk shit. But yeah, yeah. You know what? I'd say that's a good stopping point there. Anything last minute zombie survival tips anyone want to leave?
No. I'll just say congratulations to the Chiefs or congratulations to the Eagles.
There you go.
Nice. Yeah.
You really earned it today.
Yep.
Danny, any last minute advice for surviving the zombie apocalypse?
Don't get bit.
That's nice, yeah. I would just say everyone watch Alone or watch any like survivalist surviving, like camping shit. Learn as much as you can about surviving. Just get away from people. That's been my philosophy since high school. Just get away from people and you'll do a lot better. Just live out in the woods and you'll be fine. So anyway, but hey, thanks for listening, and join us next time when we talk more just horse shittery, I guess. And one of these days, hopefully, we'll have an episode 2 of surviving the zombie apocalypse. But anyway, thanks, guys.